the end zone! Touchdown Bulldogs!
The Dogs win the GLIAC tournament title.
Well, that's how you get it started right there.
I want to give the teams and athletes the freedom to be creative.
I think that's something we rally around as a team. We're out there no matter what the weather is.
We just do a good job of eating it up and using it to our advantage no matter what.
I got a lot of pride in being a Bulldog. I think it's awesome.
You're listening to Behind the Bulldogs, brought to you by Ferris State Athletics.
It is Behind the Bulldogs, Season 1, Episode 1, and we are so excited. Brand new show, brand new studio, brand new everything. What was formerly the MVSP has now come to basically a brand new everything. Brandon, we are so excited to bring it to you. It's Episode 1, and we got a banger for it.
We're so back.
We're so back, dude.
This is so fun.
We're back.
Shout out to all the fans, all of our supporters, because you're the reason that this show is continuing. And it has been successful. And it's been super great. We got a great new format for you. Full Ferris State sports coverage. All year long, we'll be talking to coaches, players, staff in our interviews, which you guys have loved the most. And we figured we might as well start off with an absolute heater. So we're giving you one of the most fan-requested interviews right off the shoot here for Episode 1, Joe. And I cannot wait.
Yeah, we got head coach of the football team, Tony Annese, joining us in studio. Dude, so that was such a great interview. I'm not going to lie. Very excited for you guys to hear it. But we got the Ferris State rundown to do first, and then we'll hop into the interview.
Absolutely. So without further ado, let's get into it. Be sure to stick around. The schedule of the whole slate is coming up next, as well as the interview. But to recap, we'll obviously start off with that football game. 17-10 loss to Montana, Joe. Obviously, crowd noise affected us greatly. Huge environment we had never been in before. A little bit more penalties than we would have liked, I believe 15. But other than that, you look at offense. Defensively, we did better with possession, yardage gain, more first downs. We just happened to turn the ball over one wrong time and committed a lot of penalties, and there was a couple drops and things like that. There was those little mistakes, and we would have beat a Division I team. Now, no matter what the result was, that's a win in the book for this football team, and they played awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had 106 yards and penalties. Even if you win the game, that's almost impossible to do. It doesn't matter. I mean, Montana had 79 of their own, but like I said, whoever has the least amount of penalty yards is probably going to win the game. But like you said, Brandon, we played incredibly well. The defense really showed out. I think that caught a lot of people by surprise. We were stopping their run game. We were really collapsing the pocket and kind of forcing them to get a little bit uncomfortable. And we won the first half. Like that was literally that was all us, to be honest. But obviously coming out, they scored 2 touchdowns in the third quarter that kind of really took the win out of ourselves, but it was scoreless fourth. So if it wasn't for a really kind of a tough start in the third quarter, we probably would have came out on top. But like we said, Division I opponent, FCS, against a team that's near the top 10 of FCS, and to play that well against them, I mean, that really bodes well for a team's confidence as well as what it can show, what we can do for later on the season.
Yeah, certainly a lot of great things we learned from that football game, and obviously the guys enjoyed the experience, but things will get back to work here over the bye week. We'll have Northern Michigan coming up for homecoming here, not this week, but next weekend. So be sure to stick around with that. Rock the top one time here at Ferris State University. Before we move over into volleyball, shout out as well men's golf, B&R Investments Bulldog Fall Classic champions. Super cool. Congrats to Coach Stark and that crew, dominating from start to finish on their home turf, defending the dog pound well, and securing a chip. So you can read more about that on FerrisStateBulldogs.com. Anyway, over to volleyball. 2 wins in the GLIAC bounce. I mean, against Wayne State, a really good team. Against Parkside, able to take care of business. Obviously, the offense has been fantastic. That's not something that's really new. The defensive abilities of this team, Joe, we talk about it off air all the time, the depth and the ability defensively to set up offensive opportunities, that's taken another level up. And there's even still arguably more to improve with. And I'm sure that team has taken that mindset going into these next weeks, but they're able to get block assists. They're able to set up on a lot of these really scrappy, gritty points. I saw that especially in the Parkside game. We were really able to grit out some points. And that's just making this team that much more deadly. And they're picking up wins. And obviously it's one game at a time every day for Coach Brandon Wilhelm and that team. But right now, I mean, they look really, really good. And I'm excited to see what they do coming up on this big road slate coming up.
Yeah, that's going to be really sick, to be honest. It was a team where we really haven't seen this kind of depth in a while, probably 3 or 4 years. I mean, since the start that we came in, probably our freshman year is the last time we kind of seen this depth throughout the team. So very excited to see how we played there. Obviously going to 5 sets against a very good Wayne State team. That's kind of expected. They've been a team that's really, really solid in the region for these past couple of weeks. And then obviously kind of just doing the work, doing the business that was expected against Wisconsin Parkside, but still going to be a very solid thing. I mean, we saw that we saw very good volleyball being played at the Colorado Premier Challenge, but we definitely got 2 wins right off the bat in Gleac is a really good start.
Absolutely a great start. Moving on over into women's soccer. Obviously started off really hot to begin the season. Have cooled off a little bit. We got a tie against Davenport as well as have a tough, close loss to Grand Valley on that Friday night game, I should say. But I think overall, we've seen us playing in a couple more defensive-friendly games where it was more, especially in the Northwood, the Maryville game, eventually 2 really, really good offenses slugging it out. But we're looking now at these teams where it's been a lot more possession heavy. We've been definitely working on that. Grand Valley, of course, is a really high-class program. Davenport is very good as well. But we're just really learning how to play on the road a little bit. We're obviously still getting the kinks out. Obviously, you can't rip 10 in a row. Obviously, would love to, but there's things that you have to learn all the way. And it's great that they're learning it right now here in the early part of the season, and that by the time we get into the thick of the regular season and towards postseason, we got that cleaned up. But overall, we're learning to play in these more gritty, tough-knit games, and those are the things that you need in order to make a good postseason run. So it's glad that now Coach Henson's team, especially here, is learning that here early on in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look back at last year and the year before that, we've been really deadly on set pieces and corner kicks. Haven't had that many in the past 4 games. I think the most we've had is maybe 3 or 4, and I think the most came from Northwood. We had 3, or Findlay we had 1. Ashland, if I remember correctly, was like 2 or 3, and then Grand Valley only had 3. So when we get a chance to be able to get those corner kicks and really just pound the box, we'll be fine. But like we said, early season, they'll get it figured out.
Absolutely. Final shout out to all of the cross-country athletes. Great performances at Spartan, one of the best in the last 5 years. Course was good footing. It was definitely a nicer day to run. Everybody did really well in the back half, especially the younger classmen still learning how to race the collegiate level. And the spreads were fantastic. Some of the best we've had all season long. So shout out to them as well. And we'll get to covering more of that here later on in the show. We'll talk about the upcoming events here after our great interview, which, speaking of which, Joe, let's not waste any more time.
No more time. Let's get into it. Head coach of Ferris State football, Tony Annese, coming at you.
All right, our first interview guest today, you guys know him very well as TA, one of the winningest coaches in NCAA history. Tony Annese has joined us today. Coach, it's an honor for you to be our first guest here on this program.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Coach, first question for you. I mean, looking back, your whole career at Ferris State, especially when you started, I mean, you see where the program is at now, being able to put up a great fight against an FCS Division I school. When you're able to have that opportunity and show what Ferris football is all about, what does that mean for you to be able to kind of look back on your career to where it is now?
Well, it's extraordinary. First off, I didn't envision it that way. When we first started, took the job thinking, dang, this is probably the worst job I've ever taken. In my mind, it was one of those things that, man, I have to take it, but I really don't know if I can, for the first time in my career, it was like, can I really get this program, steered in the right direction? So I had some doubts, but, a guy by the name of Jason Vanderlaan was here at the time, and he helped me become, a little bit better coach than probably I would be, because he had such a unique skill set. He was extraordinarily physical and durable at a quarterback position. So that helped us kind of get the ball rolling. And in 2013, we scheduled another FCS powerhouse in North Dakota State and got absolutely blasted. So now, we've played 2 FCS schools, 2 perennial powers in North Dakota State and Montana, and just showing, how close we were last Saturday. It really kind of is a great indication of the program's growth, and so proud of our guys. I like to win, so disappointed that we lost, but proud that we were so competitive and so determined to give our a great fight, our best effort to try to win that game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and especially you mentioned North Dakota State. Now you guys go to Montana this past week, and obviously the football game we all watched, we all listened, we saw the stats, we saw the final numbers. But for you guys, especially as a team, what was that trip like? Because not a lot of people get to go see the Big Sky State and just beautiful country land everywhere.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful. 2 years ago, I was in Florida recruiting, and then I ran into Jim Tressel in the airport former Ohio State, Youngstown State, coach and head coach. And so he says, you ever play any FCS schools? Because he was a multi-winner at the FCS level at Youngstown. He won a couple national championships. I said, ironic you say that. We just scheduled Montana. And he goes, oh my gosh, Montana, that's one of the best venues ever. And, he coached in the Horseshoe there at Ohio State. So it's pretty cool to know that he thought that was one of the best venues ever. And so when I got there, I'm like, so be it. It's a pretty cool spot, overlooking a huge mountain. But when the game started, it was like, wow, it's just beyond description. People were saying they couldn't even talk to the person sitting next to them. It was that loud.
Wow.
And so, our defensive coaches, because, they were loud when we were on offense, not so loud when they were on offense. And but when our defensive coaches were on the sidelines, they're huddled up with their players, and they said they could hardly communicate with them just trying to, prepare the defense for their next opportunity to take the field. So that's how wildly crazy it was.
That's insane.
Wow.
And especially in that post-game press conference with Montana's coach, Bobby Houck, he called Ferris the Division II team. I don't know if you saw that, but to be able to have your guys get that type of recognition on their talent, what does that mean for you as a coach, and just to see, finally to get these guys some upper level respect, I guess?
Yeah, you go into a game, you just say, okay, win or bust, but it's kind of odd, right? When you think we lost that game and we come back and we get all this, positive response from everyone across the country. I guess people thought we were going to get blown out, but, including Bobby, who was very respectful to us, the Montana fans who were very respectful to us, and then the D2 media who's saying, man, they Ferris State did, Division II proud. And so that's a good feeling. We want to do D2 proud. And so, it obviously was a lot of positive recognition for a loss. Typically when you lose, it's always, dang, that team sucked, kind of deal. But it was pretty cool to see how positive people were about our performance out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and especially kind of going back a layer a little bit, going back to the start. For you, I know a lot of coaches probably have a different story, but what was the first thing or your first idea that you decided you wanted to put a headset on and become a head coach?
Oh, goodness. So I was in 5th grade, and we did kind of that career exploration that everybody does. And I said I wanted to be a teacher and a coach. And so I was a high school teacher for 25 years. And I loved it. And high school head coach for 22. And so my dad was a head coach for 26 years. And I just always, like when I was a little kid and we would go to, McDonald's or Kmart or wherever we went, grown men would come up to my dad and say, hey, Nick, you meant so much to me in my lifetime. It was just, you profoundly impacted my life in a very positive way. And so I heard that, and I'm like, wow, isn't that unbelievable? And there's not an extraordinarily number of careers that I think that you can just say, man, I'm a life changer. And so right away, I'm like, dang, that's awesome. I want to be a life changer. I want to help young people, be successful. I want people to say that to me when I'm a grown man, and people who are, have careers, have families, they come back and say, wow, you just made that kind of impact. And so that's what I always wanted. And so that's what I chose to do.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's such a great story too, to be able to see that impact that you've had. I do have a question though. I saw that now you're wearing a patterned gray tie, and last year you were wearing a red tie. Is that like a superstitious kind of change thing, or is it more of just saw it in the closet and you liked it type thing?
So, we get a tie, a new tie every year for the most part until we lose. And so you didn't catch the fact that after we lost to Grand Valley, I changed my tie, and then we never lost from that point on. And then for the new season, I try to get a different tie. And you caught that question in perfect timing, because I wear that tie in honor of my dad, who passed away when I was 21 years old. And he wore a tie. And so I'm like, I want to wear a tie in honor of my dad. So Coach Hauk asked me, why do you wear a tie? And I said, in honor of my dad. And he goes, have you done it your whole career? I said, 404 games. And he said, that's so cool, because his dad was also a high school head coach. And so it's cool to see. But, that's why I wear it. But I'm changing it now, so I'm going to have to find a new tie. And I just typically give away my old tie to one of the players at the end of the season that I admire the most, who, is graduating. So that's just kind of the thing that I do. Kyle Thompson, back in the day, he graduated. He's a pharmacist now, but he graduated, and his last season was 2016 for us. But he wore the same tie that I wore in the 16 game. We lost to Northwest Missouri State in the semifinals. I gave him the tie, and he wore that tie for graduation. So pretty cool to have that happen.
That's awesome.
How awesome is that? That's cool. Any sneak peek as far as what the next tie could be? Maybe breaking news?
No, I got to work on it. It's definitely something that I have to work on, and I like to hold on to ties for a long time, because that means we're winning a lot. So now this is a little bit early for me changing ties. It's the earliest it's been in a long time, but so be it.
I was going to say, does Mrs. Annese kind of get a say in what tie she wants you to wear as well, or no?
Yeah, it's, between my daughter, who, is, she thinks she knows everything about style, to my spouse, and my, my determination on what I like. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Sure. You'll have to wait and see. Yep. Definitely one thing that I'm sure a lot of people probably tune into this podcast for, knowing the whole story about what we're doing with the show, is really, what does Tony Annese do outside of football, especially here in the summertime for you? I know you're certainly recruiting, you're working with summer camp, but when day is all said and done, you're off the gridiron. What's Tony Annese doing in off hours?
Well, I live on that lake, Big Whitefish Lake. So, so what a lake, very nice lake. And so I also live close to Pilgrim's Run, 1.1 mile to be exact.
Wow.
Stone's throw away.
So I golf there a lot. Actually, Zach Ahern worked there this summer, and he would see me. He's like, man, are you here every day? And I'm like, no, not every day, but probably golfed 4 days a week in the summer. In July, June's hard because of camps and stuff, but in July, try to get to the golf course. And I've got a pickleball court at my house, and so I play pickleball a lot. And then just enjoy family. Last year when we were at Lenore Rhines, almost 2 years ago now, 1 year ago now, I said that wrong. I had my first granddaughter, so she was born on September 9th. And so Stella, so I spent time with her, and I've got 2 more grandchildren on the way. And so family's important. Yeah, family's important. I golf with my brothers. I have 3 brothers that we're very similar age, so we golf together. I also have 3 sons, so we golf together. A daughter that is pretty active, and so a lot of family time for sure. And we float around on that boat. Family likes to float around on that boat more than I do, and just chill on the boat and talk. But it's fun in the summer for sure. Michigan's so beautiful in the summer. It's like, wow. It's just like a great thing to do.
Yeah, and you mentioned with pickleball, I've heard that you and the coaches sometimes play around a little bit. Is that a true story, or?
We do. Not so much in the in-season, but we are in a bye week, so we have played the last couple days. And I think I've lost now like 12 games in a row, which is probably one of the worst streaks I've ever had. But
gonna have to hit the home court.
Oh my gosh, these guys, man! It's some of these guys can really play, so it's challenging. But yeah, it's fun to play.
Absolutely, and especially to go back a little bit, especially when your time at GRCC coaching there, but you're also an associate professor. What's that change for you to go from like classroom Tony to, Coach Tony?
Yeah, it was different. It was fun to have different like connections with not just football players. Right now, my connection is just for the most part with the football guys, which is awesome. But I'd go in and teach some of the things I was teaching at GRCC and have connections with students that weren't just connected with football. And so that's always a good balance because you get to meet a lot of different people, who have different interests. And so it was fun. I actually loved teaching at GRCC, and I love my days teaching, in classrooms in high school, because it's a unique opportunity. And again, you can make the same impact, teaching as you can as a coach. And coaching is teaching, so philosophically it connects pretty well.
For sure.
For sure. Final question for you, Coach. You appreciate your time, taking it all the way back from our old show, but what's been your favorite thing about being here at Ferris State and being a Bulldog?
Wow, it's a good question. I think my favorite thing is just the development of the relationships. It just, I get criticized sometimes, like, I feel like I'm 22, 23 years old, and sometimes people are saying, "Hey, dude, you're an old man," and when summer hits and I've got guys that I've coached who are coming and hanging out, or I'm going to a wedding reception, and I'm with like 8 to 10 guys that I coached back earlier, and they're having a good time, and I sometimes I'm challenged to act like an adult, if that makes sense, because it's so much fun to be around the guys that I coached, and I golf. Like this summer, I went golfing with Anthony D'Arcangelo, a great linebacker for us, and Landon Grove, who was my partner and horrible, by the way. And so Vanderlaan and D'Arcangelo versus Grove and they beat us, but just to go out there with those guys and have fun, and then they sometimes come and hang out at the lake and that kind of thing. It's awesome. It's that's what it's all about, just having those long-term relationships and just feeling that, that I'm a kid again kind of deal, which I feel most of the time because I'm around young people all the time. So it's fun to be that way. It keeps you young, and so that's just such a gift. It really is truly a gift.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day, especially with the bye week. We wish you the best of luck with Northern Michigan at homecoming. But yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
Big thanks to Coach Annese for coming on the show. Here's the final Bulldog schedule for you. Quick fire rapid style. Ready? Friday, Lansing Invite for women's and men's cross country. Men's tennis at Allendale for the Davenport tournament. Women's soccer at home against Northern Michigan, 4 o'clock. Women's volleyball at Saginaw Valley, 7 p.m. Saturday, women's golf at the Gildas Club Laker Invite, as well as at Davenport for volleyball. Sunday, Lady Bulldog Invitational as well going into Monday, and Michigan Tech Soccer hosted on 1 o'clock on Sunday. So there you go. That's all there is to it. Be sure to be here for more episodes coming soon, Joe.
Absolutely. Weekly episodes coming out. Huge first episode. Big thanks to Coach Tony Annese for coming on. As always, take care, everybody.